The young and old in Singapore are divided in the way they view certain socio-political issues, and this divide is rapidly widening. The divide in viewpoints is between the baby boomer generation, those born between 1944 and 1964, and younger millennials born between 1980 to 1995, as well as those in Generation or Gen Z born in 1996 to the 2000s. Recent studies suggest that on some socio-political issues, the gap is unprecedented, not only in terms of how wide it is, but how rapidly it is widening. Whether it is climate change, race and religion, or lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer or LGBTQ rights, chances are one will find people of the younger generation at the forefront of the cause. We have journalist Tee Zhuo to share more on this. Welcome, Tee.
Thanks, Aaron.
Now, Tee, if you could tell us, what are some of these issues that we see a divide in?
So the issues are mostly socio-political, like, for example, attitudes, about how responsive and collaborative the government should be, and on issues of race and religion. For example, with race, while about 6 or 7 in 10 of Chinese Singaporeans below 30 years old are, okay with a Malay or Indian Prime Minister, the number drops to about 4 in 10 of those when you count those 60 and above. But by far the kind of starkest divide is on LGBTQ issues. So over 5 times as many people between 18 and 25 compared to those above 65 are okay with sex between adults of the same sex.
Right.
But it's not just about the obviously sizable gap in views. The gap is also widening. So in 2013, a quarter of those aged 20 to 24 thought gay marriage was not wrong, but only 11% aged between 55 and 59 thought so. And then 5 years later, in 2018, the proportion for the younger cohort, by then they were aged 25 to 29, had doubled to about 50%. But the corresponding figure for the older cohort barely moved, so now just 15%. So while millennials became more liberal, the older folks stayed the same, and therefore widening the gap.
Right. And why is there this growing gap between the old and the young with these issues?
Well, to be fair, there will always be a variance in views between people born of, two completely distinct social contexts. No doubt our parents were also thought of as rebels in their own day by their own parents. And I think what's different is, the rapidity, the speed at which this gap is growing. And I think there are a few factors. For some issues like climate change, a large part of it is simply urgency. Millennials like me will probably be the ones having to live through the worst effects of climate change. So it really shouldn't be that surprising that, we care so much about it. Then there's, of course, the use of social media, which those younger are naturally more comfortable with. On the one hand, it makes it far easier to organize on urgent social issues, but on the other, it could also mean that separate age groups can basically silo themselves, not listen to each other, and along their differences of opinion, thereby reinforcing existing beliefs. And then with social media also comes greater connectivity, which can also be about physical mobility. And I think the economic and connectivity situation during the generations of our grandparents or our parents was very different. Now, I spoke to Professor Tommy Koh, and he told me that he and his wife, for example, grew up in a time when Singapore was poor. And even now it informs how they think about spending and how frugal they are. So, and on the point of affluence, I would also say that, our generation probably has much better access to education, much higher levels, and also are therefore exposed to much more ideas.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Tee, for coming onto the show to shed more light on this. Now, for more on the story, you can check it out on Straits Times website. There we have it, our top stories for today. For more news and videos, do log on to straitstimes.com. Once again, I'm Haryanto. See you tomorrow for more stories on The Big Story.